They do.
Are you in a mode, or
Well,
would
it's
you-
possible if we can get something for the deal. We can do something where we get something for it.
Would that
Mr.
happen-
President, Mr. President, do you plan to?
Would that happen before the tariffs are announced?
Without firing a single shot, Canada just sent a shockwave through the American economy, halting outbound flights, crippling airport operations, and placing hundreds of thousands of American jobs on the chopping block. From Wall Street to Washington, alarms are blaring. And Trump? He's exploding with fury. Canadians scrambled to postpone or cancel work trips, vacations, and business trips, leaving American airport and airline officials bewildered. United, Delta, and Southwest were among the American airlines who had to cancel hundreds of flights and ground fleets that were ready to leave from Canada. What will happen to the economy as a result? Already catastrophic. According to aviation industry insiders, there is now an urgent threat to an estimated 280,000 employment associated with Canadian-American air travel. These occupations include airline crews, airport staff, tour operators, hotel employees, business liaisons, and support vendors. Globally traded cities are bracing for a devastating economic downturn, including Buffalo, Detroit, and Seattle. This is not just a transportation disruption, it's a direct hit to American small businesses, supply chains, and international partnerships, stated the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in an urgent advisory. Immediate diplomatic action is required. As predicted, Donald Trump wasted little time jumping on the bandwagon.
Hi, Mr. President.
We're
How's
in
it
the
going?
process of landing. I didn't realize it's quite late. Is everything good?
Yeah. Are you going to exempt life-saving medications, or what can we expect
Well,
there?
we'll be announcing it soon, but we have to bring pharmaceuticals, drugs and pharmaceuticals back into our country.
And what's the rate you're looking at? 50?
No, probably later.
Mr. President, do you?
It's a process. Do it probably later. We're landing right now.
Mr.
Sit down, I
President, do
don't
you
want you to get
plan
hurt,
to
'cause
take
I love-
Greenland
I
by
love the
force?
fake news.
Does today's inflation report impact?
We're landing right now.
At the Florida event, the former president was visibly energized as he stepped onto the stage. But then, he apparently changed his mind and had an angry outburst after learning of Canada's move, asking, "Canada is canceling flights? Helpful planes? No longer are we respected, folks. That never happened while Trump was in office. We could control Trudeau. He was quite polite to me. You know that since he called me sir." He said, "Right now, American families are getting their lives turned upside down, airports are going out of business, and Sleepy Joe is probably still trying to find Ottawa on a map. I will return those flights on the first day." Video excerpts from Trump's rant, including his comment, "They're building a wall in the sky now," were popular online. What on earth is going on here then? Some of the hidden disputes between the aviation authorities of the United States and Canada have reportedly escalated slightly during the last year, according to experts. Tensions have been simmering for some time over air traffic control authority, environmental compliance, and bilateral landing rights. On the other hand, analysts think that the final straw may have been the controversial new U.S. aviation tax that was quietly put in place last month and targets overseas carriers. A targeted penalty on Canadian airlines like WestJet and Air Canada was the perception in Ottawa of the tax, which was imposed to raise money for American infrastructure. At a news conference, a Canadian transportation official said, "We are not willing to subsidize American airport expansions while our own carriers are being penalized. The suspension of flights will be maintained until a fair and mutually beneficial deal is made." Put simply, this was not an accident. It was an easy response. Furthermore, other sectors are also experiencing difficulties. Large digital companies are currently facing logistical challenges as they increase their cross-border operations with Canada. This includes Amazon, Apple, and Google.
We have a lot of good things happening in our country. I hope you're enjoying the flight. Any questions?
Yes.
We had a very good conversation. The Prime Minister, they've got an election going on, so we're going to meet after the election.
On the pharma tariffs, Mr. President, you've been talking about the pharma tariffs and what to expect there.
I never want to have to rely on other countries for that, like we did at COVID.
Sir,
Mr. President.
on the car tariffs and just the reciprocal tariffs, a lot of countries are making gestures and
Flights are not an option for executives. Squads are at a loss. Currently, major projects remain uncertain. The innovation pipeline, which connects Silicon Valley and Toronto, is one of the busiest worldwide work corridors, and it has been suddenly shut down. The interruption has left many Canadian students enrolled at American universities either stranded or unsure of how to return to their classes. Reports indicate that Washington was once again taken unawares, even though the Department of Transportation issued a cautious statement claiming to be working closely with Canadian authorities to resolve the situation. We're reviewing the matter. We expect this to be temporary, President Biden told reporters in a brief statement. But it's possible that damage has already been done. The airline industry, already strained by the post-COVID reorganization, stands to lose billions of dollars if this drags on for more than a few weeks, say travel experts. Foreign routes to reopen require some time. They call for reapprovals, security cooperation, staff reallocation, and months of planning. Meanwhile, fear is being voiced by governors of states that share a border. During a recent address, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer emphasized the critical role that Canadian tourists play in supporting local businesses. A swift intervention from Washington is necessary to address this matter. Another interruption would be disastrous. On the other side of the border, some Canadians are hailing the move as a rare demonstration of authority. A Canadian radio host has stated that this is about sovereignty. For a long time, Canada has given in to the demands of American aviation firms. It could be that we're standing up now at last. But that stand is causing the loss of employment for a large number of Americans. Canadians flying in and out make up half of my business, said the proprietor of a restaurant in New York's airport. Today, I had to send 10 individuals home. I care more about rent than about policy. When tensions rise, so do conspiracy theories. A number of conservative commentators have called the suspension part of a globalist plot to isolate America. One school of thought sees it as economic punishment for the U.S. political turmoil. The reality, though, seems to be much more simple and disastrous. Canada is showing its economic strength, while the U.S. was too busy to care. But Trump is making political capital out of this disaster. Biden Grounded is the slogan of online ads that his team has already released, which feature grounded aircraft. It would have been Trump's flight. Whoever you are, you can't deny that Trump sees this as proof of his long-standing claim that they only respect us when I'm in charge. The protracted impasse has made one thing quite clear. This is not a simple transportation issue. In addition to being an issue with diplomacy and employment, it is a source of national shame. There will be pivotal days ahead. Is a change to the aviation tax in the U.S. horizon? Will Canada be pressured to make a concession by furious corporate executives and its own stranded citizens? Is this just the beginning of a larger economic showdown between two of the most powerful nations in the world? There will be no sound from the sky until then, and 280,000 Americans will have to wait for a launch that may or may not happen.